After an amazing chance encounter, the defenders finally formulate their team on another great episode.
Don't change the channel, don't touch that dial. We got it all on UHM. Take off your sneakers.
Hey guys, it's here my review for the Defenders, Episode 4, Royal Dragon. And I was definitely looking forward to this episode, especially after the way the last episode left off. I mean, this episode really did have a lot to live up to. And was it as good as the last episode? No, but I did not expect it to be. This still was a fantastic episode, though. And what was really cool about this episode is this kind of was like a bottle episode. You know, we didn't see a lot of the characters in this episode, like none of the side characters from Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, none of them were here. Not even Colleen or Claire was in this episode, which I thought was really interesting. This episode only focused on really two things. It focused on the Defenders getting to know each other, and it focused the Hand basically getting ready to attack. But let's just get into this episode because I definitely do want to get into it, and I'm really enjoying the show. I mean, it's clear they're just having fun, and there were a lot of really fun moments here, and I really did love what we got. But we start off at the Royal Dragon restaurant, which is actually where most of this episode does take place, and I thought that was just a really cool way to do things here. The fact that after this crazy action sequence, basically, they're now kind of hiding out and kind of taking a break to get to know each other, I thought was a really clever way to do it. So we meet the owner, Mr. Zhang. He's saying goodbye to his last few customers, and Matt, Jessica, Luke, and Danny all come in. They figure that they need to stay off the streets, obviously because the Hand could come after them at any point. So Zhang threatens to call the police, but the group tells him that he can't. Jessica barricades the door, and I love Danny's little line of, wow, she's strong. I mean, just little things like that, of these characters getting to know each other, I really did love. But Matt tells Zhang that they need to make the place look closed for his protection. Matt turns off the lights, and Jessica tells Luke that she's not sure if Matt's really on their side or not, and as we know, Matt is in fact on their side, but he really wants to stay out of the action. He just wants to be Matt Murdock. He doesn't really want to be the Daredevil, even though he has that urge that constantly gets him to go back to it. He just wants to kind of maintain that persona, and Luke says that he's just getting back into the world from prison, and they'll talk about it later. And obviously, Jessica's completely like out of the loop. She doesn't know any of what he's talking about. Jessica explains that she's actually just working a case, and that's really all she wants to do. She's not here to like, you know, form this team. She really just wants to solve this case on her own. Again, it shows that these four don't really want to be together, but they kind of have to be. And Jessica tells Matt that she and Luke actually know each other, and Danny convinces Zhang to let them stay for paying his rent for the next 6 months, and you know, Jessica here realized that Danny actually knows Chinese, and Matt refused to remove his makeshift mask and says that there's people that he needs to protect, and he and Danny explained about the Hand as Zhang and his waiter them bringing the food, and I love how Jessica thought that that wasn't the real name. I mean, again, they're really using these characters' comedic abilities to their advantage, especially with Jessica and Luke. There were some great moments with them here, but basically, they figured that they've all taken on the Hand, and Matt hastily claims that he doesn't know who Elektra is, and he says that he can't be a part of it, but Luke then grabs him and says that he doesn't trust him, and Luke tells Matt to take off the mask because he really doesn't trust that he's on their side. Remember, to Luke, this could be anyone. This could be part of the Hand for all they know, an undercover Hand agent. You know, Luke doesn't know anything about Murdock whatsoever, so, you know, Matt basically does remove the mask, and Jessica takes Matt off to talk to him privately, and she asks why Matt followed her into the building, and says that basically she knows that he's the Daredevil. You know, she can put two and two together very easily. He's blind, you know, he's wearing a mask all the time. It's obvious that he is the Daredevil, and Jessica warns that the Hand will soon figure out who Matt is, and all she wants to do is crack the case. So she just kind of wants to be left out of this because she doesn't want to be involved with all this Hand stuff. You know, it didn't really involve her, but Matt reluctantly removes the mask and tells the others his name, and this perfectly sets up the direction that the rest of this episode goes. So back in her room, Elektra then looks at herself and the scars and bullet wounds of her past, and again, I love the way this scene is done because again, a lot of that humanity in Elektra has been removed, but as we see in the last episode and in this scene, there are still traces of humanity in there, and, you know, she knows that these this definitely did come from something. You know, these scars and bullet wounds, they're important, and Alexandra comes in, tells her that all that matters is how Elektra lives, and Elektra wonders if all she is the Black Sky, because she's not really okay with that, and Alexandra tells her that the woman who Elektra used to be was afraid and led astray by men who were afraid of what she was, and now Elektra's vessel is with her, where it belongs, and Elektra says that she's the Black Sky, she serves the Hand, and together they say that they serve life itself, and Alexandra tells Elektra that she's her last hope and she should remember who actually brought them back, and basically, you know, that's basically you know, how this is gonna go, that she is Black Sky, and she can't refrain back to that Elektra persona. So the group then settles down to eat, and we're given sort of like a what next kind of thing here. Like, they're all trying to figure out, alright, we all just met, we all kind of have a common enemy, what do we really do now? So Matt tells Luke and Danny that he's Daredevil, Jessica points out that they broke several crimes, and Luke says that there's one cop that they can trust, and Danny says that the law can't handle it, and Matt warns that fighting them head on will actually get them all killed. And when Danny suggests they work together, Jessica and Luke actually do refuse. They're not into the idea at all. Jessica because she just wants to crack a case, Luke because he just got out of jail and he doesn't want to cause any more problems for himself. So Danny figures that they're meant to be together, and we see this happens just as Stick comes into the back, and this was awesome. I mean, Stick, yes, he's been in Daredevil, but this is easily the most we've seen of Stick so far. He is a main character in the show, and it's really cool to see Scott Glenn again, you know, from The Leftovers to this, which I thought it was interesting that, you know, again, just like The Leftovers, he was in episode 2, and now he's kind of like a main character throughout the rest of this, but he tells them that he's the guy who's actually going to help them save New York. So he kind of is the Nick Fury of this, you know, where he's kind of going to get them all together. We thought that Claire was going to assume that role. No, it seems like Stick actually is going to take on that role. So we then meet this character, Murakami. He's in his apartment gutting a bear when Alexandra comes in, and just seeing him gut a bear, it just really amps up the tension here. You're realizing how dangerous they really are, but he explains that he got the endangered bear in Japan, and Alexandra says the organization resources are depleted, and the Hand is close now, and that the Iron Fist has returned to New York, but admits that they haven't been able to secure him just yet. So Murakami asks if the Chaste was indistinguished, and you're like, what the fuck is the Chaste? And Alexandra tells him that Danny has found 3 exceptional allies. Madame Gao and Sawanda have agreed to help, and the 5th is actually on his way. So again, you don't really know what they're really talking about here, but Alexandra tells Murakami that Elektra's more powerful than he could imagine, and Alexandra will actually join the fight as well. So Elektra looks at all the weapons, and Sawanda comes in. He asks if she's a weapon at all after her recent failure, and she easily just takes out his bodyguards and tells Sawanda to keep asking. So it's clear that she's using this, you know, whole Black Sky persona to her advantage, even though you can tell that she does still want to go back to, you know, who she really was, because I mean that is her identity. She doesn't want her identity, you know, completely taken from her. She definitely does want it back in some way, and she wants to take ownership of it, but someone else has, and she obviously is really upset about that. And I thought that was definitely, again, the way they're handling Elektra is just really compelling. I'm really loving what Elodie is doing so far with this character. I really liked her in Daredevil, but this is a whole other side of Elektra we haven't really seen before, and I really am loving what we're getting with her in this show. So the rest of the episode, we're given a lot of expository dialogue here, and I can understand if someone's like, oh, there's too much exposition, but for a show like this, we really do need it. There's not a lot of time to, you know, do this in a sporadic way. You know, there's only 8 episodes. We're at the halfway point of the season. We need to know who they're really facing. So Stick explains his organization calls himself the Chaste, and that they're the only reason the Hand hasn't won already. So they follow the elders of Kunlun and the Iron Fist, but now they're all dead except for Stick. So Stick came there because Danny is still a dumbass, and he breaks Danny's phone, and when he says that he called Colleen again, I love that they're basically making fun of Danny in this episode. Like, anytime he brings up the Chi, everyone just makes fun of it because it does kind of sound ridiculous. Even though we've seen Danny master the Iron Fist, you know, from an outside source who actually doesn't know what Danny's capable of, yeah, it does sound a little bit ridiculous. So Stick warns that the Hand will use personal ties to end them, and Matt tells the others that he actually knows Stick and nothing is sacred for him. So he doesn't trust him for a second, you know, because him and Stick, you know, the last time they saw each other, obviously were not on good terms at all, and Stick warns that the entire city is in danger now, and and the hand has destroyed saves before. Also, I loved Stick just casually mentioning the fact that he cut off his hand. I mean, just like the leftovers, they are really using Stick's very deadpan delivery to their advantage here. Scott Glenn is just a master at it, and I love that they're doing the same thing with Stick here. It worked with Kevin Sr., and it's really working for Stick, but basically, the only thing stopping them is the four of them. Basically, they're the only thing. So, Jessica starts to leave because she really does not want any part of this whatsoever. Again, she just wants to focus on cracking the case, and that's it. And Stick tells her to shut up and sit down, but she walks out anyway. You know, she does not want to be here. You know, she wants nothing to do with this because, you know, she's already got enough problems on her hands. She's just a PI. She doesn't really feel like she has a reason for being here. But Luke goes after her, and he figures that people will get hurt no matter how weird the rest of it sounds. And Jessica says that she just wants answers for her client, and she isn't interested in whatever makes Luke so concerned about other people. You know, she doesn't really have that, you know, want to save everyone. She just, you know, that she's just a PI and that's it. And Luke tells her that it was good seeing her and to be careful. And you're thinking, all right, Jessica's just walked off. You know she's gonna come back. So that was the one thing I will say. I thought it made sense for Jessica to walk off, but it did feel kind of unnecessary because you know she's gonna come back. I mean, the show's called The Defenders. You know Jessica's gonna stay. So back inside, Matt figures that Jessica isn't coming back. He figures that Jessica has her life and it's hers. And Stick explains that he trained Matt to fight a Woll, but he became a costume vigilante instead, and he didn't want him to be that. He tells Danny that Matt has retired, but they have a lot to learn from each other, and Luke comes in and says that it isn't Jessica's fate, and Stick warns that sooner or later it will be everyone's fight, including Jessica's, and Danny and Luke both say that it won't be, and Luke demands to know everything that they need to know, and because, you know, he wants to know what they're really up against here. So Alexandra's servants then help her put on her dress. She dismisses them, clutching at her side in pain. You know, we're reminded of the fact that she is in fact dying, and she takes some pills. She then makes a call and says that there's been a change of plans and she won't be there. So we don't know what this is about. Who is she talking to? What's going on here? But you know that this definitely is setting up something big for the end. You just don't know what it is yet, and I really do love the way they set this up here. But Jessica then goes to her office. She checks the Hall of Records information. She checks the signatures on the papers and realizes they were actually all made by the same person. So clearly someone's behind this. You know, something has to do with those papers, and we don't know what that's all about. But very quickly, Jessica's kind of realizing that, yeah, I am kind of needed here, and I definitely did like seeing that. So Stick again gives us a lot of information here, but it's again useful information. He explains that millennia ago, the elders of Kunlun gathered to study how to harness their chi to heal. 5 heretics wanted to use the energy for immortality, not healing, and the elders actually banished them for Kunlun, and they became the 5 fingers of the hand. So Alexandra has led them since the beginning, and each finger has ruled over its own domain. So Gao is one of them, which makes sense. This is why she's so subservient to Alexandra, because she is just simply one of the fingers. Alexandra is the hand altogether, so that really does make sense. So Wani's an African warlord and gunrunner. Bakudo was also one of them, but he's supposedly dead, even though Ramon Rodriguez is in the opening credits, so we know very well he's probably not dead. The last one is Murakami, the most secretive of the fingers, and the one who actually used Nobu, and Matt wonders why Stick is there, and Danny points out that Stick has given him more information. The lawyer figures that Stick wants something and tells Danny to just stop acting like a child, and Danny takes offense, and Matt warns that the hand doesn't give their opponent second chances, and he wonders if they'll make it worse by getting involved, which, you know, Matt really knows the true stakes of what this is really all about. Even though Danny also has had first-hand experience, Matt saw it happen to, you know, someone that he cared near and dear about. So he's definitely well aware of what they can really do. So Jessica visits Michelle and tells her that Raymond got into something weird. She says she'll work on getting them some protection, and Michelle says that some guy is actually parked outside and said that he was a cop, and the man didn't show her a badge. Jessica tells her stay away from the windows while she takes care of it, so she walks past the car and down the streets, and Danny eats to recharge his chi, and I love Luke's line of, you know, how much more can you eat, because Danny's just, you know, he has like a shit ton of food, and tells Luke that they actually make a good team, and again, I love these two characters working together. I think they just have such great chemistry, and I really just want to see these two in a show. I mean, yes, I love The Defenders, but if we can just get a show with these two, I'll be really happy, because Luke he works so well with Danny, and Luke warns him not to get used to it, insists that he's just trying to help Harlem. Danny figures that they walk the same path, but Luke tells him that once they fix the current situation, then their path comes to an end. Again, reminding us that these four don't really like each other all that much. They're just kind of there all because they have, they all are kind of there for the same reason, and the same organization is after them and their loved ones, and obviously, Luke very much cares about that. So Stick goes over to Matt, and he says that he's glad that he found Matt and that Matt found others, and he figured that Matt would cross paths with Elektra, and it's the only reason that Matt is there. And Stick tells Matt that Elektra is something else now, and Matt admits that he couldn't hear her heartbeat, so he knows very well that this isn't Elektra, and the old man warns Matt that they can't help Elektra, and they made her forget her former life when they brought her back, and Matt says that she hesitated when they had the chance to kill him, but Stick warns him that the entity inside of Elektra's body will have to die, and they then hear someone outside. Jessica circles back, she yanks the fake cop out of the car, he attacks her with a knife, and she soon takes him down, and tells him that Michelle and Lexi actually aren't a threat to the hand, and she shouldn't have to worry about them. So Jessica makes it clear that he's to leave them alone. The man then spits at her, someone speaks over his radio in Chinese, and Jessica then slams the man's head against the windshield to force him to talk, and that was just an awesome scene. But Danny then gets Zhang and the waiter into the back, and again, I love the way the waiter and Zhang are just reacting to these characters' abilities. Just again, a lot of great comedy here. I love that the show isn't taking itself too seriously, because that was Iron Fist's problem. It took itself way too seriously, and this show's just embracing the comedy, and I really like that. But basically, he joins the others watching the van outside. Matt then hears people cocking guns inside the van, so that's not good, but he doesn't know if Elektra's there, and Stick then realizes that Alexandra's there. They turn to face her when she's seated at the table. She tells Dane that she didn't try to kill him and suggested he consider some alternatives to taking down the hand, given that he's failed consistently, and Stick then asks what Alexandra wants, and she insists that she wants to bring life where there is death, and she warns Dane that the others will disappoint him, and the more connection he has, the easier it will be to break him. So they really just want Danny, and she offers a calling, or spare them if Danny comes with her, and Stick then tells Danny that if he walks with Alexandra, then he'll take Danny out himself, and so he needs him to really be on this team. He's not playing around here. He probably, we get the sense that Stick has been wanting to form this team for a while now, and now that he actually does have Matt and all the others, now he can officially, make this team. So Danny refuses Alexandra's offer. Luke tells her to leave. Alexandra tells Stick that they're just like him in a violent way, and in comes Elektra. She smashes down the door and comes in. Alexandra tells her to serve life. She walks to the side, and the four men prepare to fight. Jessica throws the man's van through the front window, slams it into Elektra, and again, that was awesome. She walks in, joins the others, asks who missed her, as Elektra prepares to fight them all, and we see the five of them ready to take her down, and that is the way this episode ends. Really fantastic stuff overall, but let's just get into this episode where it's going to take us into the rest of this series. So overall, guys, like I said, while this episode was pretty much, just a very exposition-heavy episode, I think it was an episode that we really did need. First of all, we really needed to see these characters get to know each other, and in the midst of all this craziness, we really did need some sort of a relaxing type episode, and that's really what this was. This was them kind of, getting to know each other, realizing each other's abilities, and again, one of the things I love about the show so far is that they're really embracing, the ridiculousness of some of this. The fact that Danny is always talking about his chi, and the Iron Fist, and Kung Lun, and, all that stuff. They're really making fun of him, and everyone in the group, they're kind of treating him like the little brother, and I think it's just a lot of fun to watch. I definitely really do like that, and it just makes for a lot more enjoyable of a show. And again, Danny's not a bad character in this. We see now he's not as whiny. He's still kind of annoying sometimes, but again, they're acknowledging the fact that he's annoying, and they're calling him out for it, and it's just a lot more fun to watch, and I just love seeing this team really do form here. I think it's just really well done. And Stick in general, I love his incorporation. I love how we now know about the chase and everything that's going on there. And we now know the hand's real purpose, that they basically, they're trying to, bring life to death, basically. And that's kind of what they did with Elektra, and now they need Danny for some reason. We still don't know why Alexandra needs Danny, but it's clear that he's the main person that they need here, and I think that definitely is very interesting, the way that's playing out, but I thought that definitely was, interesting to see, and I don't know what's really going to happen with Elektra, because you can see in Elektra, she does still have a part of that humanity in her, but she's constantly being told, get rid of that. That's not who you are anymore. Now you're this warrior. You're just Black Sky. You're supposed to be emotionless, and Elektra doesn't really seem to want that. I think we could end this show with Elektra maybe going back into a role persona, or maybe not. I mean, I don't really know how it's going to turn out, and I would appreciate if you guys refrain from telling me, because, I've had that happen to me before, but, I don't know how that's really going to play out, and I think that definitely is going to be very interesting. As far as everything we got with Jessica, yes, I will admit my one complaint of this episode is that we knew that Jessica wasn't going to leave. I mean, come on, we knew that very well. But I understood why she wanted to leave. I mean, she didn't want anything to do with this. She just wants to solve the case. She wants to focus on helping Michelle, avenge, the whole thing that went down with Raymond and avenge his killer and, crack this case. That's all she's really focused on. She doesn't want to focus on all this inner street crime in the hand. That's not who Jessica Jones is, and that's something I really do love. The show is really, sticking to these characters' personalities. They're not trying to make Jessica out of character where she's okay with doing all this stuff. She's now realizing she has to be on board with it, and she doesn't really have a choice, but does she really want to? No. And that's kind of the same for most of these characters. Luke doesn't really want to be involved. Jessica doesn't really want to be involved, and I think that definitely is really well done the way they're playing that up. And of course, Jessica and Luke do have a lot of hidden, history between, a lot of history between each other, and I think that showed very well too. Overall, guys, this was just a really great episode. I really did love what we got here. There's not a ton to say about this one, as I said, because it is much more of just setting up the rest of the season, but it was stuff that we really did need. We got some really great comedy in there, especially with Danny and Luke. Just those two together, I'm loving seeing those two team up. I think it was definitely the right move to see those two, and I think Heroes for Hire, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. I think that's definitely something I want to see. Seeing Stick as well was fantastic. I'm just really loving where the show is headed, and I think we're definitely going to get a really big action scene in the next episode. Overall, guys, this was another fantastic entry from the Defenders, and I am going to give the Defenders Episode 4, Royal Dragon, a B+. So overall, guys, for this episode of The Defenders, most guys thought this episode overall, left your thoughts in it. Again, really loving where the show is headed. Just the more it goes on, the more I really am loving it. But that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Please watch Batman Cookie 4. I can't support it enough. Adam's movie will be coming out, I believe, 9 o'clock, either 9 or 10 o'clock. It is coming out tonight, so definitely look forward to that. But I will see you guys in my next video, which won't be for a review of that. It will be for the Game of Thrones finale, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.